After giving one away at home to Oklahoma, where does Bama go from here? What's up, everybody? Welcome back in to Tide Talk Live. I am your host, Stacy Blackwood, powered by the Believe Network, riding solo tonight. Wanted to get an episode out just to kind of rehash and recap real quickly the Oklahoma loss. Won't spend a ton of time there. Want to focus this episode more on where Bama goes from here after suffering that disappointing loss. So we'll talk all about that here in just a few minutes. But make sure you do like, share, and subscribe here on YouTube. Jump in the comments, give us your thoughts on Alabama's loss to Oklahoma and where you believe they will go moving forward and how they're going to finish out the year with just 2 weeks remaining in the regular season. We're also free and available wherever you find your podcast, thanks to the Believe Network. So make sure you download, subscribe, follow us on whatever podcast platform you choose, and leave us those written reviews as well. That's greatly appreciated by us too. So make sure you take care of all that. We appreciate the support we've received so far and look forward to our continued growth here on the podcast side as well. But also, you can follow us on Twitter at Tide Talk Live, TikTok at Tide Talk Live. Just search Tide Talk Live. You can find all our social media platforms as well. So let's just dive into this real quick. I want to talk real quickly about the Oklahoma game just one last time. And I know Jake and I were not able to give a reaction show on Saturday night because my son was in the basketball tournament, and that wrapped up my entire day. Uh, but just to kind of thinking about that game, you're not going to beat good teams when you lose the turnover battle 3-0. That's a real simplified way to look at it, but sometimes the simplest answer is the best answer. And you got to take care of the football. Alabama was not able to do that, and Oklahoma was, and that turned out to be the difference of the game. Now we could get into the different nuances that kind of led to the turnovers, or maybe bigger problems that led to Alabama dropping that game against Oklahoma. But the truth is, and the box score tells the story, Alabama outplayed Oklahoma, but Oklahoma made the right plays at the right time, and Alabama was not able to do that. And that's why Oklahoma came into Tuscaloosa and got a win, and why Alabama dropped their first SEC game of the season. And so it's disappointing, it's frustrating because I think Alabama's confident they're a better team than Oklahoma. I think throughout the game they proved they're a better overall team than Oklahoma. Oklahoma just made the winning plays. And look, that's what football comes down to. It's about making the winning plays, and Oklahoma was able to do that, and Alabama was not. And I thought, some positives. Obviously, the running game was a little better than it's been being. Daniel Hill, to me, is clear cut number one running back without question. I mean, I'm not sure how you continue to feature Jam Miller with the way that Daniel Hill is playing, along the way that Jam Miller's playing. It's obvious to me that Daniel Hill gives Alabama the best, or Daniel Hill is the best option for Alabama as a starting running back. 15 carries, 60 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Daniel Hill on Saturday afternoon. And another plus was obviously the great game from Josh Cuevas, 6 catches, 80 yards, and a touchdown. Really solid performance. Cuevas is a guy who, was really one of the more underappreciated players in the SEC, and maybe even in the country. I'm not sure there's many national people who understand how vital Josh Cuevas is to this Alabama offense, and he just does a great job of scoring touchdowns, picking up first downs, and kind of keeping the chains moving for the Crimson Tide offense. Another stellar day for the senior tight end. And but I mean, just outside the turnovers, it's just frustrating. Ty Simpson continued to fumble inside the pocket. He throws a pick six. Can't really fuss too much about interceptions. He's only thrown two all year. But I do think the sack fumbles are becoming a trend, and that is a problem for this Alabama offense moving forward. You have to be able to take care of the football within the pocket. If you throw an interception trying to make a play down the field, that's one thing. But when you're taking hits in the pocket and losing the football, that is a recipe for disaster. And we've saw that happen, several times already this season. I think that's the fifth sack fumble by Ty this year, if I'm not mistaken. And so you got to be able to take care of the football, throw the ball away, and live to see another down. Even if it's third down, throw the ball away and punt the ball to the opposing team. And that's just what it boils down to. And Of course, we had the special teams disasters as well. It was a series of unfortunate events for Alabama against Oklahoma. It was you know, what could go wrong did go wrong for Alabama in that game. And, sometimes it goes that way and you just got to move on and move on to the next week. And I'm hoping that that's what Coach DeBoer and this team has decided to do, these past couple days as they get ready for Eastern Illinois. Um, but just the final thoughts on the Oklahoma game. Look, you can't give the football away against a good team like Oklahoma and expect to win. It's as simple as that. Alabama didn't do what they needed to do to win the game, but here they are, 8-2, 6-1 in conference play. Everything they want to accomplish is still ahead of them this season, and I think they have plenty of opportunities with 2 games remaining. They still have a chance to earn a spot in the SEC championship game. They still have a really good chance of earning a spot in the college football playoff. So everything they want to accomplish is still ahead of them. They just have to take care of business the rest of the way in the regular season. That starts, this coming Saturday against Eastern Illinois there in Bryant Denny Stadium for the final home game of the 2025 season. So, what is next for Bama? We mentioned the Eastern Illinois game. We all know that Alabama. You can never take any game for granted. Obviously, we understand that, but Eastern Illinois is not a good team. They're 3-8 on the season. They struggle to throw the football. Their leading passer only has 1,054 passing yards on the year. Uh, uh, just 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and he's a freshman. Connor Wolf is his name. But we'll talk more about this game later in the week. But in terms of what's next for Alabama, it's not so much about the opponent, and it should never be about the opponent anyways. It's about what you can control, and that's how you prepare each and every week. And I think you're going to see a team dialed. I think they've been dialed, but sometimes you run into a game and go into a game like it was this last week against Oklahoma when nothing is going your way. You just keep shooting yourself in the foot, and the other team takes care of business. And that's what happened on Saturday night in Tuscaloosa. But Alabama, I think if you're an Alabama fan, you have to be optimistic from this standpoint. What happened after the Week 1 loss against Florida State? I'm not sure how many people, or especially Alabama fans, were optimistic that Alabama would be uh, at this point in the season pushing for a playoff spot or pushing for a chance to play in the SEC championship game. So I do think, despite the disappointment that you feel and that we all feel from Saturday's loss to Oklahoma, I still think this team is probably in a better spot right now than what most fans would have predicted after game 1 of this year. So that's a positive way to spin it. Then also, um, you still have so much to play for. So there's no need to feel down. There's no need to feel, let this loss turn into multiple losses because everything you want to accomplish is still ahead of you. So it's just about buckling down and taking care of business, competing every day, getting better each and every day, and just taking it one day at a time. And I think if Alabama can do that, they're going to be just fine. They lost to Florida State and then reeled off 8 wins in a row. I mean, I think so. They're capable of doing it, and that was against a really, really tough schedule. And so, I don't want to get into the debates of the college football playoff rankings, which will also obviously be released on Tuesday night. Anxious to see where Alabama is there because I think that's a good indicator of kind of what they need to do. But we all know what they need to do. They need to beat Eastern Illinois and they need to beat Auburn. And I think if you do those two things, regardless if you earn a spot in the SEC championship game, you're going to be in the college football playoff. You're not going to leave a 10-2 SEC team at home for the college football playoff. You're just not going to. And if they do, after they play the type of schedule that Alabama's played, then SEC teams, Big Ten teams, they have no need to ever play a tough opponent at a conference ever again. And I know Florida State turned out to not be that great of a team, but you don't know that when you schedule it. And so, why would you even risk it? And the SEC is moving to a 9-game conference schedule next year. And so that means you only have 3 non-conference games. So, you're going to have to be a little more careful on how you schedule those. If the committee is not going to reward strength of schedule. Now, they say they're going to, but we have to see it proved out in their rankings moving forward. And I'm anxious to see how that kind of turns out on Tuesday night. But Alabama still has plenty to play for, a lot to look ahead to. and they have more than enough opportunities to kind of prove that they belong in the college football playoff. I'm not down on this team. I'm disappointed they lost for sure. I'm disappointed in some of the things that I've seen from the team in terms of the inconsistencies on offense, which we've talked about all season long. The offensive line is not great. They're inconsistent. The running game is non existent. And Ty Simpson has been forced to kind of carry this offense on his shoulders. And we shouldn't be surprised that the guy that's just now 10 starts into his college career is starting to dial back a little bit late in the season. He's played a tough schedule, gotten beaten up, and teams have a lot of film on him now. And so it shouldn't be surprising that he is not performing up to the elite level that most fans want to perform to after what we saw earlier in the season in the month of October. But I still think Ty's playing really high level football right now. I think that's being proved out by a lot of mock drafts who still consider him to be the number one quarterback taken in the 2026 NFL draft. So I still have a lot of confidence that Ty is the guy who can take us where we want to go as Alabama fans, which is to make a run in the college football playoff. We just have to have better play around him. It's the simple fact. Cut down on the drops, play a little better up front, and run the football a little more consistently. It doesn't have to be great. It just needs to be good enough to take some of the pressure off Ty Simpson. And offensively, just don't turn the football over. And that is something this team has done a really good job of all season. And it kind of felt like the law of averages caught up with Alabama against Oklahoma, where Oklahoma hasn't really been known for forcing turnovers, and Alabama wasn't known for, you know, giving away the football all season long, and it kind of called up to both teams, in a positive way for Oklahoma and a negative way for Alabama on Saturday in Tuscaloosa. So it's just kind of the law of averages type thing. I believe in that game, and I don't think obviously when you shoot yourself in the foot, you want to kind of feel bad for yourself and blame yourself. And sure, you want to do that, but you got to get things turned around because you still have a lot to play for if you're Alabama, and they are more than capable of finishing the season 10-2, earning a spot in either the SEC championship game and or the college football playoff. So there's plenty of motivation left for this team, and I think if you're Kalen DeBoer, I still think you believe that you have one of the better teams in the country. Your defense is playing at at an elite level. I mean, Oklahoma, what 206 total yards, I believe, just barely giving up 200 yards is incredible, especially when your offense is giving them the football over and over again, and your defense just keeps answering the bell. I don't think their offense had a drive of over 44 yards in the game, a scoring drive. So Kane Womack has this defense playing at an extremely high level right now. They're disruptive, they're active, they're flying to the football, and they're making a lot of plays, and they're keeping Alabama in games where otherwise they would not be in because the offense has really been inconsistent, especially in the second half. That's another thing. If you're Coach Grubb, if you're Coach DeBoer, if you're Nick Sheridan, this entire offensive staff, you have to figure out what's going on in the second half of these games. Because ever since the Georgia game, you have not been a really good second half offensive team. You've moved the ball some, but you're not creating that ball movement into scoring opportunities. And you have to be able to score points. Obviously, that's the most obvious statement ever if you want to win football games. And so you have to be able to finish. You saw what Georgia did to Texas in the fourth quarter, 21 nothing. That's what great championship teams do. They finish teams off in the fourth quarter. Alabama's got to be able to create more scoring opportunities on offense in the second half of football games if they want to achieve the goals that they hope to achieve this season. But still a lot to play for if you're Alabama. No need to be down on yourself. Beat it, Eastern Illinois, beat Auburn, and I think you're sitting pretty right in the middle of the college football playoff. And all you can ask for each and every season, and I know Alabama fans are expectations are always sky high. I get it. I'm that way too. But all you can ask for as a college football fan in 2025 in the modern era of college football is make it to the playoff and your team has a chance. All you can have ask for is an opportunity to make a run in the playoff. And I think Alabama's got a great opportunity to do that. Just take care of business the rest of the way against an inferior Eastern Illinois and a struggling Auburn team there, which is going to be a night game at Jordan Hare Stadium. So obviously that is going to be a wild and ruckus crowd. We'll talk more about that in next week. But just looking forward to seeing kind of the response of this team. We saw what happened after the loss to Florida State. They put up what 73 to nothing against UL Monroe. hopefully we'll see a similar performance from the team on Saturday to kind of send the seniors off the right way before heading down to Auburn for the Iron Bowl here right after Thanksgiving. But a lot to look forward to if you're an Alabama fan. No sense in sitting on the sidelines and feeling bad about yourself. A lot to play for, and I'm confident this team can get it done the rest of the way and earn a spot in the college football playoff. But really appreciate you guys tuning in the show. I know it's a shorter episode than normal, and I know I'm riding solo, but Jake was not able to join me tonight. But we did want to get something out to just kind of give fans a little optimism. I know it's been tough couple days after that loss to Oklahoma, but plenty to play for if you're Alabama. No need to sell it out yet, and just looking forward to seeing how this team responds over the last couple of weeks of the season. But guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you do like, share, and subscribe here on YouTube. Jump in the comments. Give me your thoughts on Alabama. How do you feel about this Alabama football team right now? Let me know in the comments. Give us a roll tide in the comments where you're watching us from. We would greatly appreciate that. Also, thanks to the Believe Network who provides us the podcast platform, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you find your podcast, just search Tide Talk Live. Make sure you subscribe, download, and leave us those written reviews. And we would greatly appreciate that. But guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you real soon. Roll Tide.